Are you looking to get on the road to your dream career? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Mentor Select Podcast with your host, Derek Phillips. Always stay up to date on social media at Mentor Select and online at mentorselect.com. Here's your host of the Mentor Select Podcast, Derek Phillips.
Welcome to episode 44 of the Mentor Select Podcast. As always, it's a pleasure to have you join us. And we're getting close to that 50 mark. It's really exciting to know. Started back in August of last year. Now we're approaching 50 episodes. So can't wait to get there. By the time you all hear this episode, I'll actually be getting ready to speak to young adults at Job Corps in Louisville, Kentucky. So I was invited there by the Director of Career Services, Dieva Carter. She wanted me to come out and speak to the students just about my book, Poverty Powerball, sharing with them stories of me overcoming adversity during my childhood and how those experiences and the lessons learned really help prepare me to be successful as an adult. And hopefully that gives them some inspiration. So I'm certainly looking forward to this experience. So I'll give you all the highlights next week and share some pictures and all that good stuff. Today we have a fantastic interview with Davion Williams, who is poet, rapper, intellectual. Just this guy is really incredible. He has a deep message that he wants to share with the world. Just sharing his experience. He's all about inspiring people and empowering others and just sharing those gems that he's learning through his experiences, through his studies. So this is someone you certainly want to sit back and listen to because he has a great message that can really lift you up. Let's get to the interview and hear what Davion has to share with us. Today on the Mentor Select Podcast, we have Davion. How are you, Davion?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing great. Glad you could join us.
Yeah, no problem. You know I had to be here.
So Davion, on the Mentor Select Podcast, we really like to get to know our guest mentors better. So do you mind sharing with us just a fun fact that most people don't know about you?
Yeah, for my senior project, actually for school, I got a chance to go to a studio down in Columbus and learn about the mixing and mastering process of songs. So that way I'm able to broaden, I guess, my horizon on music and how everything works pretty much. So I can do a lot more than just writing now.
Oh, that's very cool. So how long was that project, or how much time did you get to spend actually in the studio?
So I spent a week down in the studio. The senior project was 2 weeks, but each week we were at a different location. So my first week I chose to be at a studio, and then my second week I was at a congressional office back here in Toledo, Ohio.
Okay, awesome. Now you said your senior project. Are you talking about senior in college?
Senior in high school.
Wow, awesome. So you're graduating this year?
Yes, I actually just graduated 2 days ago.
Congratulations.
Free agent. Thank you.
Free agent. That's great. We normally, definitely on the Mentor Select Podcast, we don't discriminate by age. So if someone's doing something incredible, then hey, we want to have them on. So you clearly fall into that category.
Appreciate it.
So you graduated from high school. Now it's going to be your first summer as an official adult. So what's next for you?
Yeah, it's crazy. Honestly, what's next is obviously I'm moving on to college and, I'm be pursuing my degree. But one of the things that I really want to do is just maintain myself and my mentality in a way that I know I might not get from school. And what I mean by that is pretty much just forcing myself to always be creative and being able to inspire myself. I know a lot of times I can find inspiration from others and, even things that I may see on TV or read, but to be able to find it from within myself is, I don't know, it's just an unexplainable feeling. So I just want to be able to continue that in a way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's a deep statement. As you pointed out, we usually look for inspiration outside of ourselves, so from external sources. But yeah, it's vital to be able to inspire yourself. Can you tell us what are
Yeah.
some ways that you inspire yourself?
Writing for sure. So I actually do read a lot. I've been reading a lot recently, and I inspire myself when I'm able to receive information and actually understand it. And then, so for example, I just got done reading The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander that came out about 9 years ago. And it
Okay.
just talks about mass incarceration and how that's the new Jim Crow in the modern day society. And being able to receive that information and have that be a part of an amalgamation of knowledge that I already have, it just makes me feel good. And to be able to turn other people onto it and to be able to just, just to drop wisdom. I love dropping wisdom.
Right.
And so being able to write too, that just is powerful for me.
Wow. Yes, very powerful. And it's one thing to just consume the wisdom, but to actually share it with others. That's where you really can make an
Yeah.
impact. So I love that. Now, you mentioned going back to your senior project. So do you write music?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been doing that?
I wrote my first song in fifth grade when I was
Wow.
11, and I performed it in sixth grade when I was 12. I performed it at a talent show, and that was the first time I got the feeling of, like, wow, I can write something, present it, and then people can enjoy it and take it in for themselves. Before that, it was
Right.
just like, man, maybe I'm only the one that's gonna be feeling this, or nobody else is gonna really dig it. But once I got it out there and saw that people were rocking with it, it was like, oh, okay, maybe I should keep going with this. Plus, it's kind of in
Right.
my blood because on my dad's side, my grandma, she played the saxophone, and she's been involved with different organizations and groups that do music. And my dad also rapped and, did poetry and a whole lot of art stuff. So it's kind of just falling on me now.
Oh, okay. Keeping it going. Certainly. That's awesome. Now, I first became aware of you. My wife, she had showed me a video of you doing poetry, where you actually won a poetry slam. Can you tell us some more about that?
Yeah, so the poetry slam I won is called the Icon Slam Poetry here in Toledo, Ohio. That was the first time I had ever did a poetry slam. I believe they do it every year, but this was the first time I was made aware of it. My mom actually had brought it up to me, and she was just like, "Hey, is this something you'd be interested in?" And I was like, "Why not? I give it a chance." So the way it worked is it was 3 rounds, 16 poets, and then I believe the top four were left for the last round. So, they were knocking, like, I guess the lowest scores each round. So for my process, the way I walked into it is I didn't really care about winning, honestly, because they had prize money and stuff like that. That wasn't my goal. It's just I've been writing for so long, and, I'm really like an introvert too. I'm a people person, but only if, I'm invited somewhere or if I do happen to go out. But otherwise, I'm just chilling at home, writing a whole lot. So my whole
Okay.
thing was if I could just make it all 3 rounds and let people hear what I have to say, that'd be enough for me. So I made it all 3 rounds, actually won, and it was
Wow.
crazy. It was crazy. It was an amazing experience.
That is awesome. If you don't mind telling us, what was the prize money?
It was $500.
Yeah, that's not a bad day's work.
Yeah, no, it ain't at all.
Certainly. But now you said a lot of different things I certainly could relate to, especially like I would have never guessed that you were an introvert just watching you on stage. It seemed like this is your natural element. You
Yeah.
come across very well spoken and you just tell you have a lot to say, powerful message. But for me, I was kind of more of a hybrid where I can be an extrovert depending on the situation, but also I enjoy being an introvert as well. So it's
Right.
cool being a combination of both and just adapting just depending on what the circumstances are and use that
Yeah.
superpower when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do poetry and also you say you rap as well, right?
Yes.
One do you prefer or do you see them as one and the same?
Yeah. So for me, it's it's weird because now I'm in this zone where it's like after doing the poetry slam is I've been infusing so much of the poetry into my own music. It's like it's taking a form of its own. Like before, everything had a specific cadence and a flow to it because I was writing to a specific beat. Now it's
Okay.
like, my poetry, when I was writing it for the competition, it was all just free form. I didn't have no beat. I was just, I was just writing it and I just performed it. I knew how I was going to present it, but, like I said, it was just a cappella pretty much. You could think of it that way. So
Okay.
as far as which one I prefer, I think they're one and the same because both of
Okay.
them are able to capture the essence of how I'm feeling and, what I want to convey to the audience that's listening.
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally agree. Certainly one and the same. I definitely think it's different styles of rappers, or certain rap I wouldn't classify as poetry, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
the rap that really has a message behind it and the type of poetry you're doing. Yeah, I can definitely see one and the same when I think of like people like Tupac and those type of rappers.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, who are some of your favorite rappers?
Oh man, here we go. So I give you five. So Kendrick Lamar, Rhapsody, Schoolboy Q, No Name, and Common.
Okay, good top five, certainly.
Yeah.
You said something I want to go back to, which I think is really important to the listeners, and especially people of any age, but especially teenagers. How you said when your mom brought it up to you, you pretty much just asked yourself, hey, why not? And just decided to do it. Can you talk about just how
Yeah.
important it is to take advantage of opportunities and not be afraid, even if you are afraid, to still take action, still try new things, step outside your comfort zone?
Oh yeah, for sure. It pretty much came from me being scared the whole time. And I was just finally fed up with it. Like, you know what, man, let me go out here and do it and just see what happens. Something might happen. So let me just see. I'm not losing anything. I have everything to gain though. So it's like, why not?
Right.
And so, it's kind of just like I've always kind of been timid, like I said, introvert. I was super shy when I was younger, and just dealing with a lot of stuff in my past and where I came up from. I don't know, I just want to be so inclusive, and I isolated myself a lot. So even when I would see people rapping in ciphers and stuff, I
Yeah.
knew I was good, but I was always scared of people looking at me like, man, you whack, or man, get out of here with that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this was an opportunity for me to just be myself finally and be like, you know what? I have nothing to prove to others, but to prove it to myself. Like, I can do this. I can go out on the stage and impress myself. And that was the ultimate goal. And also, I have little cousins and two little brothers, got sisters. And
Mm-hmm.
I just really want to be able to inspire them and motivate them. And not to go on a tangent or anything, but living in Toledo, for me, it's like growing up, you don't see a lot of things or opportunities that make an impact on one's charisma and drive to just to go out there and try to be successful. I mean, everybody here just seems like it just seems stagnant. It's like I get a job and then
Yeah.
I'm comfortable.
Right.
Whereas when I was on my senior project, when I was to Columbus, everybody's moving. It kind of makes you
Yeah.
adapt. It's either you go on float or sink. For me, I just want to be able to give that to my community and show them that, there's something to be proud of from living in Toledo, and, you can do it. You just got to put your mind to it.
Absolutely. And that's what really caught my eye about, in addition to you doing a phenomenal performance, is your acceptance speech once you won, how you talked about everything you just said now and how it's not really about you. It's about what you can do as far as inspiring others and really making a difference. That's just so important. It's like being afraid of doing something. That's what's helped me a lot, where I look at it like it's not about how I look or me being embarrassed or people thinking whatever I'm saying is whack. It's about that one person who, what I have to say, my message, they need to hear it. That's going to help them
Right.
get through whatever they're going through. That's going to inspire them, give them that hope. That's really who it's all about. So when we're afraid or we just self-conscious, that means we're looking internally. We're not thinking about who is our message going to help or empower. Especially someone like yourself, you have such a powerful message. Yeah, just think about it in that context every time, like who you're doing it for, who you're speaking to. So you're going very far with that.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So what's been the reaction from just people, family, friends since you won?
It's been amazing. It's honestly I don't know. I try to be humble. I don't know if this is if this is a humble statement or not, but it's like, I know I'm good, but I don't like bragging about it. I don't like, I put my talents out there, but I don't like putting my bravado out there, saying like, look at me,
Okay.
I'm this good, and that I just want to present
Right.
it and leave it for the people to consume. And so
Right.
when, my friends and family saw that, they were just like, dude, you are crazy. You are amazing. And so it's like, man, thank you. I appreciate it. And even when I was in school, when, some of my teachers got a hold of the videos, and it was like, dude, like, you are actually like amazing with this. And, the support's just been phenomenal. And I just take it all as a
Yeah.
sign from God, honestly. Like, man, you just
Yeah.
gotta keep going. Like, if it's like this off of just, a poetry thing that I did in a few weeks, it's like, man, when you put that album out there or something, it's like you can't be scared. It's just like you always gonna have supporters, family, friends, no matter what. It's been awesome.
That's great. And you certainly come across as humble, which is a great trait to have. And what's awesome about it is, yeah, when you do your thing, hey, other people are going to brag for you on your behalf. So you
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah.
worry about coming across as arrogant or whatever. Other people are going to brag for you, and rightfully so. Speaking about college, what college do you plan on attending? What major do you plan on pursuing?
I'm going to be attending the University of Toledo. I actually have a
Okay.
full ride scholarship through the Toledo Excel program. Yes, I'll be going there, and I'll be studying law and social thought. It's funny because, since we're on the topic of, schooling and music and stuff like that, a lot of times when I
Yep.
mention it to people that I'm going to do both music and law, they kind of look at me funny, like, that's an odd pairing. And it's really not when you think about it, because when I think of law and social thought, and then when I think about poetry and all types of art forms that are encapsulated through music, it's like everything is social thought. Is you putting your thoughts out there for society to hear. And for
Yeah.
me, I want to study law because, just things we see, it's almost like I've become desensitized to some of the harmful things that I've seen in real life and on TV, with police brutality and just things that are
Hmm.
going on with the Oval Office. And it's just like, man, like, specifically for the Black and brown communities, there's not a lot of representatives that can not only reach the communities back here, back home, but also be able to represent us in those higher powers and in those higher offices. And so
Right.
for me, I just want to be like, man, I'm going to do both, because I don't see a lot of people who do both. It's like an ultimatum, like you have to choose one, because it
Yeah.
seems like a lot of people are scared to pursue the arts because it's like, there's not a lot of money in that. But to that, it's like, your success isn't my success. You can't put
Right.
a definition on my success because it's based off of what you want to accomplish.
Right.
So for me, it's
Right.
just like, man, I'm a spread a message through both forms. That's the goal.
Wow. Now, is it your goal to ultimately get into politics or be a lawyer?
I'm not sure. Definitely be. I
Okay.
want to. I want to pass the bar test. I think I definitely am gonna go for being a lawyer. As far as
Okay.
politics, I'm not sure.
Cool. Yeah, it's good to have options. And yeah, most people don't know what they want to do after graduating high school, especially this soon. So yeah, to get that good foundation, and
Yeah.
sky's the limit. And you bring up a really good point as far as how people, what they'll do is they'll have their self-imposed limitations, and then they'll reflect them on other people who are doing something that they feel that they can't do. It's good that you're already conscious about that. Like I said, their reality isn't your reality. People be quick to tell you, no, you can't do this. That's a bad idea. And it's just because they convince
Yeah, man.
themselves that they can't do it. So they certainly don't want to see
Right.
someone else.
Right. Not to cut you off or anything, but
Oh, no, you
there's
good.
this there's this really powerful quote in this book called "The Fire Next Time" by James Baldwin.
Okay.
And I haven't read the full thing yet. I've only read like bits and pieces. I have the book. I'm gonna read it fully over this summer. But he said, And it was in a different context of, talking about, the Jim Crow era and stuff. And, he was talking about all that. But he had a quote in there that said, to act is to be committed, and to be committed is to be in danger. And for me, that's just like, wow. Like, that's just such a profound statement. And that sticks with me so heavy because that applies to everything.
Yeah.
To act is to be committed. So if you're going to act on it, you need to commit. If you quit, it's
Right.
like you
100%.
lose out on everything that, you've been working for. But then to be committed is to be in danger. It's like, you already have a job, something like that. But then, you committed to the side hustle that you want to do or your actual passion. It might be hard because you might lose out on that job. You might get fired or you might have to quit, So it's just dangerous. It's a lot of balances. And I think that's what a lot of people see, So it's just something that I always keep in mind. And it's a perspective, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that perspective. So true. So how many books per year would you say you read?
Man, so I'm going to be honest. This year, so far, 2019, I've read more books. This is the most books I've been reading in a long time. I should put it that way, because before I was just reading purely for school, honestly.
Gotcha.
I was reading the books that they were assigning me, but before I entered high school, I was always reading. I was reading comic books and just reading stuff like that. But this year, I have a vision board and I have a list of books that I want to read because, like I said earlier, it gives me more to talk about. There's always a whole bunch of wisdom that you can learn from anything. At least that's how I look at it. And then it's just amazing to be able to share that information. Like, I love dropping gems on people and I love dropping that wisdom. I've been waiting to say that quote to somebody for a long time. So it's just like,
honored that you shared it with me and the listeners. This is a deep quote.
Oh yeah,
I never heard it before.
Yeah, man. So this year, so far I already have like 2 books in. I'm reading this book right now called The East of Edens by John Steinbeck. And yeah, I love reading. I don't know how many books I am going to read, but it'll be a lot.
Wow, that's cool. Certainly in high school, I can't remember reading any books that wasn't assigned. Actually, when I was 12 or 11 to 12, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X. That was like one of the only books that I read just out of leisure. But yeah, it changed my perspective on a lot of things.
Yeah.
It just been a good point. Just with books, it's like the best return on investments you can get because you have these people who are either experts in their field or spent a lifetime gaining this experience, and then they compile it all into a book. So you can just get so much from it.
It's free knowledge.
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people, they just don't take those opportunities for face value. They don't capitalize on them, because I feel like we're such in a digital era now. It's like, you can get iBooks for free and stuff like that, but I don't see a lot of people using those too. It's just like with books, you can learn so much about not only other people's trials and tribulations and successes, but you can learn a lot about yourself too.
Certainly. With the digital age, what problem we have is it's kind of like information overload. There's so much to choose from, even if it's free. It's just so much to choose from. You don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So that's great that you're sifting through it all and finding those gems and certainly sharing them. Continue to doing that. So for me, I work a lot with youth. What would you say is some of the challenges that youth your age are dealing with?
Man, that's a powerful question because I can speak for myself, and I know that there sure is probably a lot of other teens who have gone through the things I went through, but honestly, for me, when I was younger and stuff, and I'm kind of just going through a stretch of the things I've been through, not the things that I'm going through right now, because I'm older and I'm getting a better understanding of how to move and stuff. But for a long time, I was just going through depression, honestly, and I was at a low self-esteem really bad. I don't really talk about this a lot, but I'm better now. But
Okay.
When I was younger, I contemplated suicide a lot. To be frank, I didn't care. I didn't care about anything, and I just wasn't happy with myself, and I just felt like I didn't fit in anywhere, and I always isolated myself because I felt like I was already isolated by not fitting in with other people. And so for the youth today, I've been blessed with the opportunity to have a perspective of before social media and after. I feel like with social media too, I feel like all of that can be extrapolated. If you don't take people's highlights from Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all these things, you might see just a hollow shell. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I just feel like everybody has to be a superstar. That can be a hard thing to recognize when that's not you, but you're trying to catch up with everybody else. And I feel like that's one of the things that the youth is facing today is like, and this is a real thing. I've heard this.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this person got, he got so many likes.
Right.
I only got this. And I've been through this
All these
before. I'm like,
followers.
man, like,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like a dopamine effect, like, because you love seeing people press that like button. But for me,
Wow.
it's just like, I came to the realization, like, man, that doesn't matter. I can care less now. Now I'm at a point where it's like, I don't care if 0 people press the like button, honestly. As long as people see the message, as long as they can hear it, that's what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have a face-to-face interaction anyways. That
Yeah.
I feel like that's more powerful. I feel like the youth today, I feel like some of them have problems with that. They trying to be somebody else instead of themselves. And I feel like that's just a difficult task.
Right. Wow. I really love the way you broke that down and shared your own personal testimony. What I think is very important. I know you said the point you are now where you don't care about all of that, but what would you say? How did you get to that point? It was just came to a realization.
I would say one thing it'd be my dad, music, God for sure. And this is in any order, but
Gotcha.
yeah, God. And the school I went to also, I went to St. John's Jesuit High School and Academy in Toledo, Ohio. It's a Catholic school. I'm not Catholic
Okay.
myself, but I went there. It's a private school. I was there on a scholarship as well, and we went on these things called retreats, and we would go on spiritual retreats just to get away from school, and it would just be students and teachers, but it was more so heavily about the students. And it was just
Okay.
a self-reflection. Like you have to reflect on everything that's going on. How are you overcoming these obstacles? How are you not overcoming these obstacles? What's going on? Just makes you do a self-evaluation on yourself. And my dad, he always put this in me like, man, are you going to be a survivor or are you going to be a victim? Because he told
Yeah.
me, he was like, because my dad has been through some crazy stuff too. I mean, and it's like you can fall victim to all of these pressures, all of these societal norms for Black and brown people, which is crazy. It's societal norms to go through these trials and tribulations just because of your skin color. But are you going to be a
Yeah.
victim of that? Are you going to let that overcome you? Or are you going to be a survivor and be able to tell your story and inspire others?
That's
Inspire
a choice.
generations, as you put it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm just like, man, I need to get over myself. That's one of the things that I was dealing with is self-pity. I was feeling bad for myself because of the things I was going through, but it's like somebody always has it worse. I always like to go to the extreme. I don't know why, but I'm always thinking about just like third world countries and just things
Yeah.
children have to go through over there. And it's like, man, I couldn't even imagine. So it's like the stuff I'm going through, it's like a walk in the park for them because they probably be like, man, this is easy. You got this, that, and the other.
Right.
So it just makes me be
Yeah.
grateful for everything I have, no matter how bad it may seem at the time. It's like, man, I have it good. I just gotta thank God. So I feel like I just overcame it by realizing that using my trials and tribulations as self empowerment to help others is beneficial for the world and for the communities at large.
Wow. Love it. Definitely gave a lot of great advice there. And I think just to summarize that, especially for teens listening, this about anyone, any age, but to have that outlet, whether it's through music, writing, whatever your outlet is, then taking those kind of like those retreats where you kind of unplugging from everything and self-reflecting. And then most importantly, just also being grateful for what you have and realize it could always be worse, no matter what people are doing on Instagram or whatever. It's just, you got to really be grateful for what you have and not compare yourself to other people. Because the biggest thing with that is, especially in social media, it's a picture I love. I saw on social media where, like, from one angle, a guy like he's on the beach just having a good time, but from the other angle, it shows like he's actually homeless. He's sitting on like it's two different. It's just all about the angle. And in reality, the guy was actually homeless, but on the way he had his angle of the picture, it showed like he on the beach just living the dream. So that's the thing about it. Like, when we're looking at social media, we're comparing ourselves a lot of times to a facade or what people want you to see. But like, as you mentioned earlier, that's just a hollow shell. That's not necessarily what's really going on in their life. You don't know what they're struggling with. So just really not to get caught up in those comparisons, really be grateful for what we have. But man, Davion, giving us a lot of great insight. You're a deep brother. I certainly really are. I'm really impressed with you and looking forward to see what you do in the future. Certainly let us know when you drop that CD.
I got you, man.
First to pick it. Cool. Well, Davion, as we get ready to wrap up this interview, do you have any parting words of advice or just something you want to leave the listeners with?
Greatness is within you. You know, your vision don't come from nobody else but you. You just got to capitalize on it and, you know, put it out there. Don't be afraid. Don't stay stagnant. Just keep moving. It's the only way you're going to get your feet wet. You know what I'm saying? Don't stay dry out here.
Love it.
But I appreciate this opportunity, man.
It's been awesome. Now, if the listeners want to get in contact with you, what would be the best option?
Instagram, that's the only social media I have.
Okay.
Davion_Deshaun, DAVION_Deshaun, DESEAN.
It's been a great interview. Really appreciate you taking time out you're a free man now. You're free summer to start it. But you took some time out to bestow some knowledge on us. We really appreciate it, and certainly keep doing what you're doing. You're inspiring people beyond what you realize. So, once you put your message out there, especially on social media, you just don't know who you're impacting, who you're inspiring of all ages. So keep doing it. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, there you have it. That was a fantastic interview with Davion, who's officially a free agent now, getting ready to go off to college. And that just goes to show, I know a lot of times the youth get a bad rep, especially from older people. In reality, there's so many youth out there who are doing positive things, who are just so ambitious and focus on helping others. And I just love that. That's why every time I meet someone, no matter what age they are, what background, if they're inspirational, if they're really focused on making a difference in the world, then I want to have them on the Mentor Select podcast so I can share their story with you all. And hopefully that gives you that spark to just do the same. It's all about paying it forward. It's all about getting over ourselves and focusing on how our experiences can help others. That's what it's all about. So really appreciate Davion. Know he's going to do some fantastic things. He's just getting started. He has a bright future. So be sure to reach out to him on Instagram. Let him know what resonated with you about this interview. Also, we'll be looking forward to when he drops that CD. I can't wait. He's very talented. And in the show notes, I'll include a link to his Poetry Slam video. He did a fantastic job. He's very impressive. Well, I'll be back next week with another interview from a remarkable guest mentor. So tune in.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Mentor Select podcast, helping you identify and follow your passions. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit mentorselect.com and Mentor Select on social media. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review. We'll catch you next time.